You're looking at a video of Tim Dillon, one of several podcast bros, including Joe Rogan, that have been turning on Donald Trump in recent weeks, whether it's regarding the Epstein files, his handling of the bombing of various different countries or boats, or takeover of Venezuela. And most recently, they're not happy about how the immigration enforcement looks so brutal. Now, that's what Tim Dillon criticizes. That there have been other people that says that these guys are just grifters and they see that Donald Trump's like light is dimming and folks are turning on him and they're just trying to get on to the next grift. I don't care. I don't care. They have a large platform. If they questioning Donald Trump's actions will help pivot.
I also think these like ICE raids, which are kind of performative and cruel and a bit psychotic, are not doing this administration any favors. I think they're making people less concerned with immigration enforcement because they're equating all immigration enforcement to these random brutal raids where you see people that have been here 30 years like hogtied and thrown into a van.
That's great. And you know who they have a biggest influence on more, and who actually the Democrats now have a way big opener on, and they've never ever had before, ever. Gen Z, the young college age boys. Now, here's the thing about them. They're the folks that listen to the podcast pros. They're the folks that are the consumers of the red pill type content. The Gen Z boys were part of the folks, the part of the demographic that caused us to have what we have now. A lot of them overwhelmingly, substantially more so than before, that we would think to voted for Donald Trump. Now, here's the door opener. Here's why it's important, because they also are the demographic that have flipped from November 2024 to now January. There are studies, at least two I saw, that says that they had like almost a 40-point flip in the other direction, and they're running to the Democratic Party. Now, why that is important is because that demographic block was never, ever a reliable voting block. And that's what the late Charlie Kirk was saying in videos he did. You can go look it up with Laura Ingraham when he was boasting about going for 1 month from, in 1 month in November, going to over like several different colleges in swing states, not just registering, but assigning 1,000 Turning Point USA members to go and harass those boys to turn in their ballots. He says while the Kamala Harris booth of like a few people were getting people registered, we were actually getting the ballots in the box. And that's why they're flipped so much, because they never really had a concrete, like substantial interest in Donald Trump as a bloc, compared to the folks who are part of Donald Trump's initial MAGA base. They're like have a superficial connection to Donald Trump. So when they see what he's doing, they flip. They never really were committed to him. They were committed to him because he was memeified on TikTok, and the Charlie Kirk and those guys just said it was fun to, this guy is like a grandpa. The Andrew Tates and those guys were like, yeah, he's like us. He's a macho guy. So not really based on them understanding the policies, the impact of what would happen if they were to help him get back in office, which is that he's doing nothing. He has no policy. His policy is just grifting, trying to steal Nobel Prizes, put his name on the Kennedy Center, put his name on coins and on statues, and tear down the East Wing and naming it after himself, and grifting and, selling off his esteem, the White House, selling pardons to whoever, to all sorts of criminals and crooks, and then like helping and enhancing him and patting the pockets of him and his family members, patting his parents and his kids and his wife's pockets. That's it, and his friends, and that's it. He's not governing because they don't know, and then no one's stopping him. He has nobody in his office who know what the hell they're doing, and they're just a bunch of sycophants, a bunch of them who knew better. They know better, but they're just like they're along for the grift too. So now they see that and they're like, okay, this sucks. We got to go someplace else. They also realizing that for some of them who thought that DI just meant like an unqualified Black person gets to fly a plane, it impacts them, because one of the studies said that of the people that were most hurt most by schools deciding, because of Trump's like threatening their grants, to remove diversity, equity, inclusion, a lot of them are impacted because schools used to look at underrepresented groups that are like don't matriculate as much, and white, young men were amongst that group. So now they've gotten rid of them as a category because they're like, we can't consider that anymore. We can't consider any of these categories in DI, not your race, your ethnicity, your first generations, the fact that you're an underrepresented group. Now you're gone. And so they realize, wait a minute, we are amongst those groups. So this is the opener for one of the reasons why Scott Galloway, who was a New York University professor of marketing, was arguing and had been arguing and continues to argue. He went on Michael Smerconish's CNN show after he did an article and said that Gen Z boys or Gen Z, like young men, either millennial men, are being left behind. Their female counterparts are starting businesses, they're advancing in their careers, they're going to grad school, they are being successful, they're owning their homes, they're just taking off, and these men are just left behind, and we need to look out for them. A lot of people laughed. McConish mentioned that under Scott Galloway's articles and any article that referenced them, people say you guys are just lazy because the world is your oyster. You guys have privilege. The world is built around for your success. You have models of success. So, irrespective of what Donald Trump says about white people being treated unfairly, okay, you say so, but the top of the socioeconomic strata in the United States, the folks who have the homes, the businesses, who are represented in Fortune 500 and 100 companies, who are the lawyers, the accountants, the members of Congress, the judges, it's full of white people. Like, they're fine. They're fine. They'll be okay. What Donald Trump is saying, and I digress when I say this, and by the way, get my I digress sweatshirt as part of my merch line at jjlegal.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll tag this sweatshirt and I'll tag this hat, but I always digress. And it's for those of us who go off on tangents, who love to talk, or who have ADHD or ADD. And so we're going to digress because that's just the nature of our condition, and I can wear it proudly. Anyway, and I say this to say that the reaction that I'm seeing from the people who it looks like they're like promoting this, or they are have this white replacement theory or fear. I akin them to this book called The Three Body Problem, and it was made into a TV series, I think, on Netflix. I don't know if there's a season two, but I did watch season one. If you didn't watch it, pause or fast forward to this portion of the video. But in a nutshell, it's a foreign, like a planet from another 400 light years ahead of us in time and in technology. They have way more technology than us, and their planet is going to implode. So they come to Earth to share our resources and say, "We're going to share our knowledge. We're going to cohabitate Earth with you guys because we feel like there's enough room for y'all and for us as well." So we're good. Then they realize that humans can't be trusted because we're dishonest. And they say, you know what? We can't trust them. We're just going to just pluck them off and then we'll take over. And they start by doing that by like offing our top like neuroscientists, our smartest, most brilliant minds. They find them and they off them. The purpose of that is like to give them, because they say we need to cut them off because they're smart and they're gonna catch up to us. And that's what I feel like the anti-DI, because while you're at the upper echelon, dominating everything, you're looking down at people and they're getting a little crumbs, a little scholarship here, a little like special program here, a little whatever there. And you're like, we can't have that because you give them a little bit of crumbs, they're gonna catch up fast. And that's what I think that's akin to. But again, I digress. The point is that now that we realize that they are a demographic group, and one of the reasons Scott Galloway said that they ran to Donald Trump is because they looked to the DNC's list of campaign promises or demo groups or special interest groups, and they weren't represented. So DNC, you need to represent them because one, they're a victim of the Trump administration's anti-DI efforts and they didn't know it. Let them know that. Let them know there's a home for them. Create a category for them because indeed they're needed. And now that they've been activated, thank you, Charlie Kirk, for activating them, because once you activate them, they're not going back. One of the reasons why I know I used to dismiss them is because they're not a reliable voting bloc. When we look at the voting patterns, they never vote. So no one, we weren't taking them seriously. Now that Charlie has activated them, once you activate, they say a mind expanded can never go back to the way it was before. That whole thing, that saying is true. Like now they know the power of their votes. And so go after them. Don't leave them. They've already coming over to this side. They're activated. It's a wonderful opener. That's how you use the other side's strategy. It's playing 4D chess, where they've been playing chess for a long time. So we're kind of like catching up, those of us on the other side. So anyway, so that's the lesson there I wanted to share about Tim Dillon podcast, and then the other podcast bros whatever they're doing it for, I really don't care. I'm not interested in the purest politics of the Democrats, and that's how we lose every time. We find that people must be perfect all the time, and they can't ever say or do anything that goes against our principles, and we jump ship. Where Donald Trump's the most flawed human beings, but you see Republicans rally behind him, no matter how many he's got like 10,000 flaws. They're still on him. Gavin Newsom like does something that's like pro billionaires. I'm not getting into that. And they're like, okay, we can't trust Gavin Newsom. Come on, please, no. Please stop. Please stop that. We can't afford that nonsense. Fight about that stuff after we get rid of this stain. Yeesh. JJ Legal, each one teach one. Check out my website where you can get a copy. Oh, you can get my merch. You can get a free Trump survival kit. You can support me. Give me a cup of coffee. Go to jjlegal.com/support because I'm a user-generated, community-generated site. Hope that's helpful for you. Let's discuss below. What do you think, Podcast Bros?